We are in polycrisis, multiple existential crises, 30 years of evolving experience. We are in polycrisis, multiple existential crises, war crisis, Ukraine, China, Middle East, migration border crisis, climate crisis, pandemic crisis, inflation crisis, drug crisis, human trafficking crisis. Evil planned the scheduled disruptions to economic activity. Open lockdowns of developed nations might not, ultimately, be the tool that globalists use to reach net zero. But carbon taxation on an oppressive scale will have the same effect. The agenda is about centralizing the control of national wealth as well as individual liberties and private property. What happens when all that perfect alternative energy potential is destroyed by repetitive, extreme weather now happening all over the world? This is one of the latest. Global food prices soar as solar and wind installations are obliterated. Global food prices jump most in 18 months as supermarket storm worsens. There are only 9 meals between mankind and anarchy. US national debt over the last 100 years. The dollar is being ousted as the US is creating $100,000 of debt per second. BRICS in 2024. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Ethiopia, Argentina, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. BRICS expansion. In yellow are all the countries that applied for membership. BRICS nations introduce a new global currency called the unit. The unit will be pegged 40% to gold and 60% to a basket of BRICS currencies. What do you think is going to happen with metals? The Olympic gold medal in 1908, 100% gold. The Olympic gold medal of Paris 2024, 1% gold. No, son, it's power, it's food, it's health, it's survival, it's happiness, it's self-worth. It's a piece of paper. Someone asked me the other day if I believe in conspiracies. Well, sure. Here's one. It is called the political system. It is nothing if not a giant conspiracy to rob, trick, and subjugate the population. The best way to keep a prisoner from escaping is to make sure he never knows he is in prison. Things I never learned in school. How to garden. How to think critically. What my rights are. What central banks are. Who Nikola Tesla was. But I sure am glad I know the Pythagorean theorem. If you control the food, you control a nation. If you control the energy, you control a region. If you control the money, you control the world. Henry Kissinger. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Unfortunately, even individuals who are waking up do not understand what is happening. Humanity is being bombarded with tragedies, more and more every day, but most people are still trying to find a solution inside this rotten system. Humanity is in a monumental dead end. This is an evolutionary crisis. It is the end of the human species, the end of the intelligent animal. Each individual must take the decision to stop participating and feeding this horrible illusion which we believe to be our reality. It is time to dream very hard about the next step, the new eidesic species. It is the separation of me with myself which causes fear. This is where fear comes from. Fear stops the person from contacting his natural common sense. This is how he becomes disconnected from his intelligence and his reason, and therefore he is manipulable at will from the outside. It is by keeping the human being in forgetfulness of who he is, the creator of the universe, that he is reduced to a fearful sheep who puts his trust in his usurpers. Well played, external authorities, but your beautiful days are numbered. It will not be like that anymore. We are committed to discovering our inner sovereignty and obeying it, because a sheep who is no longer afraid is no longer a sheep. Recently, my soul pushed me with extreme intensity, and therefore I had to listen to her. I faced my greatest fear. I left my family and the world of illusion. The only way forward is to get out of the illusion, out of the triangle of hell. I must remember who I am, and then understand what the hell I'm doing here on earth. I include the links to my video, I'm Out of the Matrix. Booklet number 1 of Personocratia, Evolution Towards the New Species. This first booklet was published in French and English in 2008 and in Spanish in 2009. DSG updated this booklet in 2020, but only in French. In order to share this latest information, I will be translating the 2020 French version into English and Spanish. When a similar page is available in the original version, I will include a screenshot of that page, as well as the translated 2020 version. If a similar page is not available, I will include the French page as well as the translated page. Please share this information with awakening individuals. Booklet number 1 of Personocratia, Evolution Towards the New Species, pages 32 and 33. 25 years of evolving experience. It all started in the early 1990s with my desire to find the remedy for the sick health system. In the USA, not socialized, in Canada, partially socialized, and in France, very socialized. My approach brought me to seek the supreme authority, the one that has held the ultimate decision-making power to change things. I started with the medical body and its hierarchy that I knew well. I had no success. I told myself that if there was a body, there must be a soul, the medical soul. I had never heard of a medical soul. However, the soul is the essence, the raison d'être of any system. No soul, no body. There had to be a soul. My reflection led me to discover that it is the patient who is the soul of the medical system. It is the patient who has the real power, not the medical profession. In addition, I realized that the disorder that caused the disease of the system came from the fact that the sovereign soul had lost her authority. She had sold her money to insurance and the decision-making power to doctors. Thereby, devoid of her real power, she had become submissive to the diktats of her new masters. When the soul is at the service of the body, and not the body in the service of the soul, disorder ensues, as well as the disease that results from it. The conclusion became obvious. The patient, the sovereign soul of the system, must restore his authority on the medical profession and regain the management of his finances. This is how a system finds health. With this evidence, and delighted from my understanding of disease and its healing, I said to myself, if it's good for the system, it's good for me. I then applied this discovery to the human being. Same situation. The human being forgot who he is. A sovereign soul, creative spirit, in an obedient body, created matter. Like a traveler in his car. Right now, the human being gives priority to his external body, the survival of the car, rather than his inner soul, the life of the traveler. He yields his authority to the garage owner who claims to ensure the health of his vehicle. The car has priority on the traveler. Same problem, same disorder, same illness as for the medical system, and all the others, by the way. And same solution. Remember who you are. The Supreme Being, then restoring the priority of the soul on the body, the spirit on matter. The book, The Medical Mafia, came out in 1994 with the conclusion, the individual sovereignty of the soul. The supreme authority is inside the person. It was now obvious that the Supreme Being, creator of the universe, the one called God, Allah, Yahweh, is inside all creation and not outside of it as claimed by religions and other spiritualities. Therefore, the human being is divine, not a member, a part of, or a son of God, but God himself, with all his attributes, omnipotence, infinite love, immortality. Otherwise, he remains a poor sinner, fearful and mortal. It's one or the other. One is pregnant or not. To avoid confusion with the many names referring to external authorities and to integrate the supreme authority of each creature, it is called Idessa, fusion of God and Goddess. Once the supreme discovery of Idessa in me was made, it became obvious that I must adopt a coherent behavior with my real nature. I made a 180-degree turn, thinking, speaking, and acting as Idessa in all areas of my daily life. There was no manual. I embarked on this adventure in all innocence, without knowing where it would take me. With each situation that arose, I asked myself this question: does Idessa do that? And I acted accordingly. Personocratia, the conscience of the power to govern oneself of the sovereign person, was born. Various experiences followed during all those years, each with its lot of fears to transcend, from very small to immense. During this time, I shared my learning as I lived it. With hindsight, I can identify the advantages and obstacles. The essential ingredient is the absolute faith in Idessa, which we are. It is not a religious, spiritual, or mental belief, but a certainty of the soul, without proof, without explanation, and without reason. The soul knows. Only faith allows confidence in the grace which cancels fear and death. The lack of faith in Idessa, hand in hand with doubt, constitutes the major obstacle in which even the most enthusiastic ones collide. Whether it manifests itself in the form of skepticism, scientific atheism, worship of an external god, master, pantheism, or any other dogmatism, it conceals the lack of determination, the fear of making a mistake, or not to get there, and generates discouragement, impatience, anger, revolt, disappointment. These are the instruments of the opposing forces to prevent, stop, or divert the faith in Idesa. In conclusion, it is imperative in this 21st century to remember who we are, unlimited creatrix, Idesa, and to become it. Here is the key that opens the door to our millennial prison. Like the patient of the health system, let us take back our decisional and financial power. Let us rejoice, because yes, there is a solution. I remember who I am. Infinite love. From millennium slavery to individual sovereignty. In the Orient, in the 20th century, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother discovered and anchored truth consciousness, the supramental consciousness in the earthly atmosphere. Once well anchored, the new consciousness was ready to move on to the next stage, its popularization and propagation. In the West, in the 21st century emerged Personocratia, the power of the sovereign person to govern oneself. Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga goes beyond individual liberation and undertakes collective transformation on earth. After the death of Sri Aurobindo, the Mother continued their work, and on February 29, 1956, the supramental consciousness was definitely anchored on earth. One single and sincere look at the present world situation is enough to convince anybody that it has reached a point of no return. Humanity is heading towards a monumental dead end. Let's stop repeating our obsolete ways, which can only bring more suffering. Personocratia continues the diffusion of truth consciousness in the West. Substantial unity replaces the guru-disciple separation. Let us all spread the contagion of love. I'm out of the game. Like Truman in the Truman Show, I have taken my bow and left a world of illusion, this computer simulation to which I have given authority to manage my life. I leave the theater, where I have played time and time again the roles of disciple, daughter, parent, dentist, entrepreneur, citizen. Today, I devote myself fully and without limits to spreading individual sovereignty, the truth consciousness that I have been experiencing since 2002. Infinite love.